What if Apple's next big threat didn't come from Google, Microsoft, or even Meta, but from its most legendary designer teaming up with the world's most powerful AI company? It's Jony Ive, it's Sam Altman, and it's a $6.5 billion hardware gamble that could shake Silicon Valley. This is the story of how Apple's past may be scripting its own future challenger. But to truly understand what's coming, we have to zoom out. This isn't just a product launch. This is a signal, the dawn of something entirely new in consumer tech. Think about it, the designer who defined the iPhone era, and the CEO who gave the world ChatGPT, now joining forces to challenge the very ecosystem they once helped build. That's not just disruption, that's transformation. On May 21st, 2025, OpenAI made headlines by acquiring a hardware startup called IO for $6.5 billion. But this wasn't just any startup, this was the creation of Jony Ive, the design genius behind the iPhone, the iMac, the iPad, and virtually every Apple product of the Steve Jobs era. According to Bloomberg, the deal includes $5 billion in new equity, and it builds on a 23% stake OpenAI had quietly acquired during Q4 of 2024. This initial investment in IO, reportedly around $1.5 billion, demonstrated OpenAI's early belief in the startup's vision long before the full acquisition became public. The moment this became public, analysts and insiders immediately began comparing this to the early days of the iPhone, when a pocket-sized touchscreen seemed like a novelty. But the comparison isn't just about innovation, it's about a foundational shift. Just as the iPhone redefined mobile computing, this new venture aims to redefine how we interact with information and intelligence itself. But unlike the iPhone, this device is meant to be invisible. No screen, no scrolling, no interface, just you and AI. The ambition is to create a seamless, intuitive experience where technology recedes into the background, becoming an omnipresent yet unnoticed helper. Altman, who once called Ive the greatest designer in the world, reportedly already uses early versions of the prototype in his daily life, according to Gear Patrol in May 2025. This isn't just a CEO endorsing a product, it's a signal of deep personal conviction and a belief in the fundamental shift this device represents. Altman himself has articulated a vision where current devices like laptops and phones are simply not optimized for the kind of AI experiences he envisions. He believes great tools require work at the intersection of technology, design, and understanding people and the world, a philosophy deeply resonant with Ive's own approach. The significance of this move can't be overstated. This is the first time OpenAI, a company that revolutionized software with ChatGPT, is trying to build hardware. And they're doing it with the exact kind of talent that helped build Apple into a $3 trillion juggernaut. It's a clear statement that OpenAI isn't content to remain a back-end API provider. They want to own the entire user experience, from the models to the physical interface. And they're not just building a product, they're building a new category, one that could sit alongside or perhaps even supersede the smartphone itself. The market potential for a truly ambient AI device is astronomical, potentially opening up entirely new revenue streams for OpenAI beyond their subscription services. That raises an even bigger question. Is this a signal that Silicon Valley's next wave won't be screen-based at all? Could this acquisition mark the beginning of the end for visual user interfaces as we know them? It's a proactive idea that challenges decades of consumer tech evolution. For investors and analysts, it's a clear signal that OpenAI is serious about becoming a full-stack tech company, not just an API provider. They want to own the interface, and that's where the real leverage lives. This move positions OpenAI not just as an AI leader, but as a potential heir to the throne of consumer device dominance. months. So what exactly is this thing they're building? The veil of secrecy surrounding it has only fueled speculation, but credible sources offer compelling clues. Ming-Chi Kuo, one of the most accurate Apple analysts in the world, says it may be a neck-worn, screenless device that uses microphones and sensors to interpret the world around you. This isn't a concept pulled from science fiction, it's a logical extension of current wearable technology, enhanced by advanced AI. Think about the iPod Shuffle, minimal, tactile, iconic. Now imagine it powered by AI. That's what early sketches suggest. A device so simple in its form, yet so profound in its function. The design philosophy aims for maximum utility with minimal intrusion. Other insiders have hinted it could become a third core device in our lives, alongside smartphones and laptops, but without replacing either. Instead, it would quietly layer intelligence onto your world, augmenting reality not with visuals, but with subtle, contextual information. Here's how it might work. It listens to your conversations with permission, sees what you're doing through sensors, and delivers ambient guidance, context-aware, predictive, and invisible. Imagine having a silent, intelligent partner that knows when you're looking for a specific item in a grocery store, or subtly reminds you if you've forgotten a task, all without you ever needing to look at a screen. This would not be an assistant you talk to, it would be a presence, always there, always anticipating. Its goal is to make technology disappear, allowing you to focus on the world around you, not the screen in your hand. The implications are massive. If successful, this would do to the phone what the iPhone did to the BlackBerry, render it outdated as the primary interface for daily life. It would not eliminate smartphones, but it would fundamentally shift their role. Altman has reportedly told insiders this will be the coolest piece of tech the world has ever seen. This kind of bold statement from a figure known for his measured approach signals the profound belief in this project's potential. For investors, it opens an entirely new frontier of AI monetization. Instead of just selling API access, OpenAI could be selling experiences powered by ChatGPT, embodied in hardware. This shift from software as a service to AI as an experience would fundamentally change their business model and market capitalization. OpenAI didn't just acquire a product, they acquired people, visionaries, veterans, the architects of Apple's design language. This wasn't merely a strategic business move, it was a talent grab of epic proportions. That includes Tang Tan, the man behind Apple's iPhone and watch product design, and Evans Henke, Apple's former head of hardware design. These are not just any designers, these are individuals who shape the tactile and aesthetic experience of billions of devices. Together with over 50 others from I.O., they've quietly joined OpenAI through this deal, integrating a seasoned hardware team into a software-first powerhouse. This brain drain is one of the most unreported stories in tech today. Apple is losing not just talent, but design DNA, the very essence of its product philosophy that Jobs and Ive meticulously crafted. While Apple continues to innovate, the departure of key figures like these raises questions about the future of its design leadership and its ability to envision truly revolutionary new categories. And while Apple builds AI features on top of existing products, OpenAI is taking a radically different path, designing the product around AI itself. This fundamental difference in approach could define the next decade of consumer technology. Apple's Apple Intelligence initiative, for instance, focuses on integrating AI deeply within its existing operating systems and devices, while OpenAI's I.O. aims to create a new device category entirely. Meanwhile, Microsoft and Google are doubling down on multimodal AI blending vision, text, and speech. But none of them are building consumer-first hardware like this. Not yet. While companies like Humane and Rabbit have attempted screenless AI devices, their initial struggles highlight the immense challenge and risk associated with such a venture. OpenAI, with Ive's expertise and substantial funding, is entering the space with a far stronger foundation. Apple's reliance on OpenAI for ChatGPT integrations, including Siri enhancements, only adds to the irony. In some ways, Apple is now a client of its future competitor. This creates a fascinating dynamic, a symbiotic relationship that simultaneously harbors the seeds of an intense competition. For those watching the AI arms race, this move by OpenAI feels like a flag planted in Apple's backyard, and it's daring the rest of Silicon Valley to catch up, setting a new benchmark for what consumer AI could look like. Behind this new AI wave is someone you may not expect. Laurene Powell Jobs, the widow of Steve Jobs. Her involvement is more than just financial. It's a philosophical endorsement that bridges Apple's legacy with OpenAI's future. She's not just supporting this project emotionally, she's funding it. Emerson Collective, her social impact firm, has reportedly invested over $1 billion into Love From and IO, giving the team room to dream without immediate financial constraints or the pressures of quarterly earnings. This long-term commitment allows Ive and his team to pursue a vision that might take years to fully materialize, much like Apple's ambitious projects under Steve Jobs. Her net worth is estimated between 11.4 and 14 billion, and she's maintained close ties with Apple while empowering entirely new ventures. This unique position allows her to be a powerful yet discreet force in the tech world. As Jony Ive put it in the Financial Times, if it wasn't for Laurene, there wouldn't be Love From. This highlights the critical role she played in enabling Ive to establish his independent design firm after leaving Apple, and subsequently to embark on the IO venture. This isn't just nostalgia, it's strategic. Laurene's involvement connects the DNA of Apple's founding principles, simplicity, elegance, and purpose, with the most cutting-edge AI tools available. She and Ive have spoken about their shared desire to mitigate the unintended harm caused by technology, particularly screen addiction, which was an unforeseen consequence of the very products Ive helped create at Apple. This new project, therefore, is not just about innovation, but about a more mindful and humane approach to technology. Laurene told The Verge, "Watching something brand new be manifested, it's a wondrous thing to behold." This sentiment speaks to a deep appreciation for the creative process and the potential for technology to serve humanity in new, less intrusive ways. And for investors, that should signal something important. This isn't a moonshot built on hype. It's being stewarded by one of the most thoughtful and ethically minded figures in tech, deeply invested in the long-term societal impact of innovation. In 2014, at the Vanity Fair Summit, Jony Ive posed a simple question: how many things have you said no to? For him, real focus wasn't about doing more. It was about eliminating distractions, even brilliant ones. This principle, ingrained by Steve Jobs, was the bedrock of Apple's success. Jobs famously said that focus meant saying no to 1,000 things. It was this rigorous self-discipline that allowed Apple to create products that were both powerful and incredibly simple. That philosophy shaped the iPhone, the MacBook, the Apple Watch, and is shaping this new AI product too. By eschewing screens and traditional interfaces, Ive and Altman are demonstrating a commitment to this less but better philosophy. They are actively choosing to say no to the dominant paradigm of screen-centric interaction. OpenAI and Ive aren't chasing flash, they're redefining utility. Their goal is not to just make something novel, but something necessary, a device that seamlessly integrates into daily life, anticipating needs rather than demanding attention. This contrasts sharply with much of the current tech landscape, which often competes for our limited attention spans through notifications and constant visual stimulation. By removing screens, buttons, and visual clutter, they're attempting to create a device that fades into your life rather than interrupting it. It's about ambient computing, where intelligence is ever present but unobtrusive. This could be a powerful antidote to the growing digital fatigue and screen addiction that plagues modern society. It's minimalism not as aesthetic, but as ethics. This isn't just about beautiful design, it's about responsible design. It's about creating technology that serves humanity rather than enslaving it. And that could be a massive shift in tech's trajectory, moving away from a model of constant engagement towards one of subtle, intelligent assistance. Let's not exaggerate. No device will kill the iPhone overnight. The smartphone is deeply embedded into our habits, our culture, and our infrastructure. But Ive has repeatedly referred to phones and laptops as legacy tools, echoing a sentiment that current interfaces are simply not optimized for the next wave of AI. And this new device, it's not trying to compete with the iPhone, it's trying to render it less necessary. It's a subtle but profound distinction. The aim isn't to replace the smartphone's functions entirely, but to offload many of its most common, attention-demanding tasks to a more seamless ambient interface. Altman has made it clear, this is about layering intelligence into your environment, not replacing your screen, but reducing your dependence on it. Imagine a world where you rarely need to pull out your phone for directions, to check a fact, or to send a quick message, because an AI companion is subtly handling those interactions in the background. According to Mac Rumors and Apple Insider, Kuo believes mass production could begin by 2027, pending regulatory and technical hurdles. This is a realistic timeline for such an ambitious product, allowing for extensive R&D, prototyping, and supply chain establishment. OpenAI reportedly aims to ship 100 million units, an incredibly ambitious goal for a new hardware category. But with OpenAI's $300 billion valuation and revenue growth, combined with Laurine's backing and Ive's team, the odds are unusually strong. They have the capital, the talent, and the long-term vision necessary to weather the inevitable challenges of bringing a revolutionary new device to market. And if they succeed, this won't just be a new gadget, it will be a new way of living, one where AI blends into our habits without needing to hijack our attention. It could usher in an era of calm technology, where our devices serve us more intelligently and more discreetly than ever before. Here's what it all means for investors, founders, and trend watchers. Apple's growth rate has slowed. While still immensely profitable and innovative, their playbook is iterative, not revolutionary. The pressure for Apple to find its next big thing beyond the iPhone, Apple Watch, and Vision Pro is immense. The OpenAI Ive partnership represents a direct challenge to Apple's traditional dominance in defining new consumer tech categories. OpenAI is positioning itself to be more than just software. They want to be the interface, the platform, and the physical touchpoint. This full-stack approach gives them immense control over the user experience and the data generated, creating a powerful competitive moat. Their strategic acquisitions, like I/O, signal a clear intent to diversify beyond their core AI models. Ive brings design credibility honed over decades at Apple, where he perfected the art of making complex technology intuitive and desirable. Altman brings AI scale, leading the company that brought generative AI to the mainstream and continues to push its boundaries. Laurine brings long-term vision and ethical grounding, ensuring the project is driven by purpose beyond profit. Together, they're building something that has the potential to reset user expectations and redefine our relationship with technology. And if ambient, screen-free computing takes off, early investors, ecosystem builders, and infrastructure providers stand to benefit the most. This could spark a new wave of innovation, chip design, sensor technology, and AI model optimization for low-power, always-on devices. Companies that can provide the necessary back-end infrastructure for this new era of AI will be critical. This is bigger than just a product. It's a bet on how we'll live, work, and interact in the post-screen era. It's a vision for technology that is less about what we look at and more about how we experience the world, augmented by intelligence. The implications for privacy, data security, and the varied nature of human interaction will be profound. And while the promise is great, these ethical considerations will undoubtedly be at the forefront of public discourse as this new category emerges. The race is on, not just for market share, but for the very soul of how we live with AI.